All right. Hello, everybody. I hope this is working and you can see and hear me. If you're joining me, if you haven't joined me before, my name is Mark Benson. I am a NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory Solar System Ambassador. Usually I hold events in person at schools, things like that, but that obviously isn't happening now. So I was very much hoping to hold this event in person tonight and a launch party tomorrow, but clearly that's not going to happen. So I want to make sure that everyone knows exactly what's happening tomorrow, weather permitting, in Florida. So the launch tomorrow is the Crew Dragon Demo-2, and that is going to be the first flight from American soil with American astronauts on board since the Space Shuttle Atlantis launched in July of 2011. So it's been nearly a decade since American astronauts have been able to fly from the United States. They've been using the Russian Soyuz rockets capsules since. So this is a really big deal. It's just about a decade in the making. The shuttle program lasted decades and was an integral part of the space station existing and Hubble project and so much science that the shuttle did, but it needed to be retired. And now we are sitting on a private-public partnership with SpaceX with the Falcon 9 rocket and the Crew Dragon craft sitting on top. So I want to make sure that everyone kind of understands what they're going to see tomorrow. The launch is scheduled for 3:30 Central Time, 4:30 in Florida, 4:30 local time in Florida. Weather permitting, these things get bumped, they get held. They are currently, I'm just checking, they're currently looking at about a 60% go on the weather. So Florida, spring, summer, middle of the afternoon, I'd say 60% is a pretty much what you're going to get in Florida, whether you're going to have good weather or not. So in order to appreciate what I hope you will be watching tomorrow, news networks are going to cover it. I watch the SpaceX feed directly from their website because they do a very, very, very good job of detailing what they're doing and letting you know what to expect and when to expect it. So if you're watching tomorrow and you haven't seen what the Falcon 9 and the Crew Dragon are like, it's going to be kind of hard to understand if things are going well, what stages are next. So what the real simple thing that I want to do here is we are going to watch Crew Dragon Demo 1, which didn't have crew on board. It was the same kind of craft, but it was empty except for a dummy. So we're going to watch that launch. The difference here is that launch happened at night. So it'll look a little bit different than the one we'll see tomorrow. But we're going to watch that. I'll narrate a little bit. We'll also, hopefully, you'll be able to hear the SpaceX team talk about what's happening. So this is kind of what you're going to see tomorrow. And hopefully, when you watch it tomorrow, you'll be able to, if you're watching the SpaceX feed, you'll be able to cheer along with everybody because they get pretty loud when things are going well. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click play on this. I'm going to mess around with the screen a little bit. I want to make sure that my face isn't blocking important things. So I might jostle around the screen a little bit. But let's get this started. I'll play with the volume.
Progress closeout is starting.
All right. So we're looking at about a minute or so on the countdown here. We'll just let that tick so you can get a sense of what this all looks like. I'm going to, again, I said I'm going to play with the screen a little bit. So let's do that. They use a special kind of propellant that actually fuel right before launch. The shuttle launches are fueled differently. They fueled them before crew went on board. The SpaceX Falcon 9 is fueled about 30 minutes, I think, before launch, with crew already on board, obviously. So that is the Crew Dragon capsule at the top of the Falcon 9 rocket.
Go for launch.
So I'll talk over them a little bit, but mostly I just want you to kind of watch and listen. If you haven't seen one of these launches, they're pretty remarkable, whether they have people on board or not. And again, I do recommend the SpaceX feed. They do a wonderful job. You can see that bottom. My face is kind of blocking part of it. The bottom of the screen, they have that arch right around where the clock is, and that shows different
Stage 1, pressing for flight.
Milestones in the launch. So you can kind of keep an eye on that. So it's very handy. So let's
10, 9.
Let's see what
8,
a Falcon 9
7,
with a Dragon capsule looks like.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition, liftoff.
Again, this launches tomorrow during the day, so it'll look, hopefully, bright blue skies.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
This will be taking off from pad 39A, which is where the missions to the moon were launched from. It's strange seeing that crowd all gathered there on the coastline watching. That's actually the strangest part of this video, seeing all those people all huddled together. So this is the first stage, Falcon 9 booster.
Stage 1 throttle bucket. Power and telemetry nominal.
Hopefully that's coming through on yours. You can hear that crowd.
For those of you just joining us, you are watching a live view of the Falcon 9 rocket as it ascends through the atmosphere carrying the SpaceX Dragon 2 capsule to
Vehicle
orbit.
is supersonic.
The vehicle just passed through max Q, which is the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. As you can hear in the background, the excitement at SpaceX.
Part of why I like watching the SpaceX feed, because you hear them go crazy for it, and I just like hearing the enthusiasm. So they're talking about.
You heard that call out from max Q on the.
Yeah, I'm letting them talk a little bit. They're talking about max Q. That's just the maximum pressure that they're pushing through to get up away from the Earth. So it's a milestone that they've reached that point, and the spacecraft is still working.
Coming up at T plus 2 minutes and 35 seconds is going to be 3 events in quick succession. The first one is going to be the main engine cutoff, or MECO. That's when the 9 Merlin 1D engines that you can see on your screen right now will cut off shortly before a stage separation at 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Shortly after that, the Merlin vacuum engine on the bottom of the second stage of the Falcon 9 will ignite in what we call second engine start, or SES.
Okay, so
will be at 2 minutes and 46 seconds. So stand by for main engine cutoff, stage separation, and second engine
So this
start.
is the first stage booster. This is the one that gets them off the ground. This one is the one that you're seeing firing right now. So what's going to happen is that's going to shut off. They call that MECO, main engine cutoff, and separates. And you'll see it fall away. These cameras are great. You'll see it fall away. So that expends its fuel, it gets it going. That one falls away. And then the second stage, there you see it falling away right there. You hear the crowd. And then soon on the right, you will see the second stage engine light up. So the first stage has done its job, part of its job. The left is that first stage booster. Those little wings coming out. You can see those little 2 wings there. I say wings just because that's what they look like, but those are landers. So that first stage is going to land back on the Earth for reuse.
Second stage engine is currently started and accelerating Dragon towards orbit. On the left-hand side of your screen, that is a view from the first stage as it makes its way back down towards the Earth. Let's go down to Lauren and Dan for updates.
So just like in this video, first stage recovery is going to be at sea tomorrow. It's going to be on a drone ship. So if all goes well, that booster, that first stage booster, will land successfully on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean, and then they can reuse it. I've seen those videos 100 times, I swear, and it never gets less exciting to see them land a booster.
Which is starting at T plus 7 minutes and 48 seconds approximately. That's where 3 of the M1D engines will reignite.
So we'll just listen to them explain it a little bit.
What that burn does is it slows down stage 1 as it re-enters the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere. If we didn't do that, that aerodynamic re-entry heating, the aero heating would heat up stage 1 and it would potentially break it apart. So we got to slow it down. From there, stage 1 is going to coast its way back down using those grid fins to help steer it, and then it'll execute the landing burn. That's going to happen at T plus 9 minutes and 24 seconds. That's where we're going to reignite that center E9 engine to hopefully bring stage 1 down to a beautiful stop right on the drone ship.
That's right, and while all that's happening, the second stage, which you can see glowing bright here, continuing to power Dragon, it's going to continue burning until just about 9 minutes after launch. So at 8 minutes and 59 seconds is where it's targeted to cut off. Down to a single engine, but that one providing a little over 200,000 pounds of thrust to carry Dragon through the upper parts of Earth's atmosphere. Not as much resistance to fight against once you're up this high. And it's going to get Dragon into that initial orbit, and it's still going to be a couple hundred kilometers beneath the station, and then it'll be turned over to thrusters on Dragon once it separates from that second stage to then begin the.
So yes, this one will, the one you're watching on your screen now that's burning, that one will shut off and separate. You'll see that fall away as well, and then that just leaves Dragon flying independently.
Both stages of Falcon 9.
Okay,
that is your view inside the Dragon space cab. That is not an astronaut, that's a dummy. Fans of the Alien movies, they have named that dummy Ripley. And they have a planet Earth in there, like I do. So.
That's right, keep an eye out as long as we have the view.
So that is where the astronauts will be sitting tomorrow. Hurley and Benson.
In its free flight mode.
Both of the astronauts tomorrow flew shuttles. Hurley was in the final shuttle flight of Atlantis in 2011, so he used the last one to pilot a space shuttle, and he will be the first aboard this new craft tomorrow.
Trajectory continues to be nominal on stage 2.
So that is stage 2, continuing to burn. As if you're watching that little arch on the bottom, you can see a lot of cool information, the mission clock, the speed, altitude, and that little bar, that little elliptical moving across to see when they're getting to the next big. Okay, so entry burn. So that first booster, that Falcon 9, that first booster is going to go back to Earth, and it needs to slow itself up and right itself to literally land on the X. So you're gonna see they're gonna switch cameras again, and you're gonna see that fire up, and the view you'll have of that is looking down towards the coastline.
Burn continues to burn nominally.
Right, we're over 7 minutes.
So that camera's gonna switch pretty soon. They do sometimes have camera trouble with the landers because there's so much going on as it's coming back to the ground, or in this case to a drone ship, that sometimes the camera goes out and then they get it back. And this one I think they lose camera briefly and then it comes back. But they will switch to both cameras very soon. Entry burn in 10 seconds.
About 10 seconds that entry burn is going to start. Hopefully we'll have
they have landed 2 boosters before, side by side, which is really impressive. So there's your entry burn.
Stage 1 FTS is safe.
That's the landing gear. So you're looking down. That view is through the flames. That's the coastline beneath you.
Switch 3 M1D engines reigniting. Burn is going to continue on for
So that's going to slow it down. It's going to right it, and they're going to be able to steer it.
So a little back-to-back action now as we see stage 1 coming back down towards Earth, stage 2 still making its way up into outer space. The Dragon still nestled on top, getting ready.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And there's the end of that stage 1 shutdown.
Okay, so stage 1 is going to continue to coast its way down using those grid fins for attitude control and steering. And in just under a minute.
All right, so they're trying to land on their drone ship. This is how they will be doing it tomorrow. Sometimes they land on solid ground. In this video and tomorrow, they will be landing on the drone ship, and they're going to have second engine cutoff coming very soon as well. A few things in rapid succession here. Engine cutoff, and then you'll have separation. And I think you'll get a double camera shot here to show it falling away.
Stage 1 landing burn is supposed to start. At the start of that burn, stage 1 will be traveling at 275 meters per second. That single engine burn is going to bring that from 275 to 0.
All right, so on the left, this says F9. That's your rocket.
Stage 1 landing burn has started.
On the right is your second stage. There's the drone ship. There's the X. And you can see the light from it coming down.
All right, let's see if we get it.
Less than 10 minutes from launch, that rocket is back, standing on the pad. Really impressive. And very cost effective. So there's a picture of it at sea. So less than 10 minutes, that's back down.
Away from where it launched.
They have reused those.
The vehicle
They've absolutely reused those.
safing procedures.
And you're going to get,
Team will make sure it's strapped
now we're
down
going to
and
go
make
back
its
to
way
the action moves back to the
back to-
Dragon, and you'll see the Earth floating around a little bit
So
on the screen.
There's still a lot more to go here. We have Dragon separation coming up. Let's go back to Tom Perderio to cover that next big milestone.
Wow, what a landing. Coming up very shortly in just about 20 seconds here. The Dragon spacecraft is going to be separating from the top of the Falcon 9 rocket.
So if you get, just the basics here, there's that Earth floating around.
Occurring around 11 minutes and 5
They have separation
seconds.
confirmed. So if you get confused just by the name Falcon 9, that's the rocket. Dragon, that's the capsule. And there it is. There's your separation. Second stage engine falls away.
You're looking at a view from the top of the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket. And hard to make out in the shadow of the Earth, but that is the Dragon 2 spacecraft flying in space for the first time after a successful separation. This is a great day for
So this
everyone
was
here
about
at
a
SpaceX
year
right now.
ago.
So, let's go back over
I'm
to Gary
gonna
Johnson and see how
hopefully this
they're
works. I'm
handling
just
it
going
over
to kind
there.
of mute
It's kinda
that.
crazy over here.
They're going
How
to talk
is
a
it
little bit
over
to some
there,
massive
Gary?
people. I'm going to switch the screen a little bit.
Thanks, Tom.
Like I said,
We're,
it's
definitely
you're
enjoying
going to be able to see
hearing,
this.
some of the
People, a
cheers
bunch
from
of places
over
are going
you
to be
guys. We
covering
can
this.
actually kind
I
of see
recommend the
behind us. We got
SpaceX
quite a
feed.
number
You
of
get
viewers here
great
in the
information.
International
I
Space
hope
Station
you
Flight
notice
Control
that.
Room. Very
They
exciting
really
time
cover
that
it
we
well.
now that they're working.
So at the moment,
So
this is
is,
scheduled
for us
for
here in Mission Control Houston.
3:30
This is just
Central
the
Time,
beginning. Now that,
4:30 Florida
Dragon is
time.
in orbit, we
60%
have,
weather.
just over
60%
a
chance
day
that the weather's
until
going to be all right.
Dragon's, scheduled to be docking
So
the
hopefully that'll
International
happen.
Space
So
Station. There's a lot
the
of
first launch, so
milestones
they
to get
will
through.
first launch since
Crew of them,
2011
again,
from the
reviewing
United
their
States.
procedures,
The
getting
two
ready for some of
astronauts
those
on
moments,
board
again, monitoring the approach and
will
performing
be
some
going
commands,
to the International Space
while the
Station
Dragon
and
is
docking.
close enough.
They will
But
dock
again, there's a lot of
late
work to do.
Thursday
We have
morning,
docking scheduled
right around
for
noon,
6
somewhere
a.m.
around noon.
tomorrow. We'll continue to
So
monitor,
tomorrow
the
about
Dragon during that time. In the
17 or so
meantime, we'll
hours.
toss to Lauren and Dan,
They'll fly
to witness some of
until
these
they reach the
final
space station.
milestones of Dragon now
And
that it is,
they will
in
dock with
orbit.
the space
Back to you.
station, and they will stay there for a while. I
Thank
forget
you,
exactly how
Gary.
long they're going to be there. I want to say they kind of have a window, but they're going to be there for a bit. They're not just docking and coming right home. They're going to be up there. I think they're going to stay for at least a month. I need to double check that. I think they're going to stay there for a while. Their method of getting home, the space shuttles, if you
Right,
were a
as
fan
Tom
of
just
watching
mentioned, the
those, the
nose
space
cone's gonna be
shuttles
opening, and that's gonna expose
re-entered
those guidance and navigation
and landed
control
like an
sensors
airplane on
and
a
the
runway.
docking mechanism. And then pretty soon, Dragon's going to execute that
Dragon
series of burns to
will
gradually raise
splash
its
down.
orbit up to align
It'll
more
parachute
closely
in
with the International
and
Space
splash
Station.
down in the
Mission
ocean
overcap,
and be retrieved.
overview recap.
And then
We had a
be
successful
reused.
launch of stage 1 and Dragon.
One of the other things that's
We landed
important to
stage
know
1 on the
is
drone
there
ship, had video on the
are
way down. You got to
lots of
check that
different
out. Dragon
features
has
to the
separated, it's
spacecraft
activated,
that
and
had to
is
be
now on
tested,
its
like the
mission.
parachute
So on
systems
behalf
had
of
to be,
SpaceX
those tests
and
had to be
NASA,
cleared.
thank
One of
you
the
for
systems that
watching
had to be
today's
cleared
broadcast.
was
Thank you for your
an
interest
emergency
in the mission,
system,
and a
essentially
big
an
thank you to
escape
the
system.
Eastern Range for helping make today's
If
launch
during
possible.
launch
Crew
there's a
Dragon's
problem,
mission obviously far from over. It's going to spend the next day or so on its way to the space station.
the rocket, the
It's gonna
system
arrive and
will
dock
detect
just before 6 a.m. Eastern tomorrow,
a
and
problem,
we'll spend 5 days
and
in
it
TAP.
has the
When we
ability
get there, it's
to
gonna begin that
fire
series of phasing burns to
emergency
raise its orbit
engines
just beneath the space
to
station,
rocket
at which point we
the
begin that slow and
Dragon
steady approach to
craft
docking.
We'll
away
be broadcasting Dragon's
from
arrival
the
and
rocket
docking
itself.
live on SpaceX.com
So
and NASA TV.
in case of
Our
emergency,
coverage will
these
begin
emergency
at
engines will
3:30
fire
a.m. Eastern
the capsule with the astronauts in it will be jettisoned away, and then once it reaches a certain distance, that will be able to parachute safely back down to the ocean. They have tested those systems, and those obviously they worked. Otherwise, they wouldn't be putting astronauts on board. But that's important to know that they do have safety systems. There is some sort of an abort system for a problem during launch. So let me check the. So that's what they. That's would be tomorrow. So the one we just watched was Demo 1. Demo 2 is tomorrow. It is considered a test flight with 2 people on board. So I hope everyone will tune in and watch. I think on the video here they're just kind of showing a replay of that Demo 1. But Demo 2 tomorrow during the day. Crew Dragon Demo 2. So that is your historic mission of finally getting American astronauts back to space from American soil tomorrow. So I hope, I assume some of you have school that you're doing online and work that you're doing online, but I hope you will find time in the middle of the day to check in and watch this launch. It's one of a kind. It's a first of its kind, and it's going to be really, really exciting. So I hope you'll tune in. Do a little bit of looking, figure out, if you have a network you prefer to watch or websites you prefer. I think I saw before I came in here, I just noticed that I think the Discovery Channel, I don't know if it's through their website or through their TV network, they're going to be airing it as well. Because I noticed that Adam Savage, who's famous for Mythbusters, he's going to be one of the commentators on the launch. So again, I'm not sure if that's their web portal or if that's on TV, but Discovery Channel is going to be doing some coverage. NASA TV, SpaceX. Check out those. You'll find anyone who's pointing a picture at that rocket going up, you're going to have a good view. So hopefully the weather is good. If there are changes, if they delay or hold, I will update my Facebook page and my other social media to let you know. The delays can be short. The delays can be a day. You never really know what the weather's going to do. And there's, clearly they're going to the space station. So there's a window for the mission to successfully get to the space station. So they can't just wait forever. So they have a window, and hopefully the weather will cooperate and they'll get up before. So let me see if there's any other questions here. So yes, Demo 2, that is tomorrow. Demo 1 is what we just watched. Good for you, Jessica. Absolutely. And yeah, I will be posting updates throughout the day on social media about the launch. I will not be doing a live video. I will not be live tweeting or live Facebooking the launch. Because 1, you should be watching it and concentrating on it, not on my social media. 2, I'm going to be concentrating on it, so I'm not going to want to be sitting there with my phone typing. So just if you're able, shut everything else you're doing down tomorrow and watch a little bit of history on your TV, on your computer right in front of you. And I will have plenty to say after the launch. And for more events like this that I'm doing online now, for obvious reasons, keep an eye on my Facebook page. This video also posts to my YouTube channel. I'll post that later for if you know people who might be interested, but don't do Facebook. So I will post it there. I'll post a link when this video goes out on Facebook so people can find it there. And I look forward to doing more events. Usually I have a guest with me, some NASA experts, scientists, but this one I just kind of wanted to talk you through a launch. Figured the easiest way was for you to just see what it is like so you can anticipate it and know what you're watching tomorrow. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope everyone has a good evening, and I hope we have a wonderful launch to see tomorrow. Thank you very much, and you all have a good night.